finding relevant posts to become involved with. So now that we're at the point of being more active on the forum, it's important that we focus our time and energies towards the parts of the forum that are going to contain people that are going to be more a match for what we're trying to promote. So let's take it back again to the example of the dog forum. And let's say that the product that I'm promoting has to do with it's a book about dog training. It covers things like getting your dog to stop barking in the middle of the night and biting and whatnot. So what we can do is we can actually search this forum. Of course, you can go through and look at recent posts. One thing that I like to do is I will go, if there's an option to look at new posts, it can show you the most recent conversations, because chances are if somebody just talked about it, they might even be on the forum right now and you can get more of a live banter going back and forth. But another thing you can do is you can go to the search option, and what I like to do is use the advanced search, because it'll give you more parameters to search for. Now, of course, not all forums are like this, but quite a few have these types of things. I'm going to go ahead and let's say that I want to find specific conversations on barking. So I'll put that in there. Now, of course, you can just search for titles that have that, or posts. And then you can also specify a few other parameters here, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And search, let's see what we come up with. Okay, so there you go. You can see that there's been a lot of activity, even just today, where people are mentioning barking in a thread. Especially this here jumps out, doggy barking. So this person here wrote, I have a 1-year-old dog that won't stop barking. Bark a lot at night when she has the door open and closed, blah blah blah. So there you go. This has been a perfect opportunity for me to go ahead and respond. So again, what you want to do is you want to take the time to be searching the forums for threads that are more of a match for you, because what's going to happen then, of course, is I'm going to help this person, and not only this person, but whenever other people are coming through the forum and they see a thread on doggy barking, they're going to say, oh, you know what, I have the same problem, and then they'll see my solution, and the exposure will continue. One of the nice things is once you got a lot of threads in here, people they go back and they see old threads, and it's more and more exposure for your product, and more of establishing you as an expert. So again, to summarize, the search function is your friend. Be sure to remember that. Keep an eye out for sticky threads. Oh, I didn't actually mention this. Oftentimes in a forum there will be certain threads that are sticky, which means that it's kind of like on a bulletin board. You stick something at the top and it stays at the top. Let's see if we can find some sticky threads here. The advantage of commenting on these threads, if they're in fact open, is that they're stuck at the top, which means that they're going to get more exposure than a normal thread that'll fall down to the bottom. So let's see here. Here's a sticky. You can see that there's some up here. I mean, some of them may not be appropriate to leave comments, and some might just make sense. I wouldn't push too hard, but if you ever see something that is stickied and you can comment, by all means, you should, because it's going to stay at the top longer. Keep an eye out for the most popular threads too. This is also something that I like to do. I'll just kind of look in the forums and just take a look at how many views something has gotten, or an ongoing discussion. Because look at this. I mean, this is a huge thread. Probably worth you getting into. Creating an effective response. So once you've found questions that you want to be answering, I'd like to talk to you about how you can create a response that's going to ideally establish you as an expert, and let people like and respect what you had to say, but also steer people towards what you're promoting. You want to answer the question in a way that provides value, but also leave an opening when possible. This is an important thing. So let's say, for example, going back to the last video, I talked about searching for people asking questions about getting a dog to stop barking. So if I went in there and provided a long, detailed answer that told them everything they needed to know to get their dog to stop barking forever, well, I would be answering that person's problem, but my problem would be that here I am trying to sell my information, and I just gave it away for free. So it's kind of like the people that stand outside of restaurants with samplers. They want to give people a taste with the whole goal of getting them to come back for more. That's exactly what you want to do. But you want to make sure that you give more than a smell, because if somebody said you want to try this and they pulled it away when I tried to eat it, I wouldn't be very happy with them. I want to at least have a taste. So what I want to encourage you to do is to answer the person's question enough that it provides value. So for example, you could say something like, sorry to hear your dog's barking in the middle of the night. That's a rough thing to deal with. Here's something that you can do that I tried that helped, in my experience. This is one of the things that I've done. So in other words, you're not giving them the whole puzzle, you're just giving them a piece of the puzzle. You're letting that opening out there because you want them to say, oh, that's good stuff. But then to find out more, of course you have to buy the book, because then right below your response in your signature is where you have a chance to promote your book. So they see this tip and they say, wow, that's great. I definitely that makes sense. I'm gonna try that. That's wonderful. But right underneath there, wow, this person, they give a good tip, but also they have their own book that they're promoting, and there it is. I need to check it out because that was good stuff. So you'll be surprised how often things like this will lead people to click and check your stuff out, because if you're just talking about how you do and those kinds of things, I mean, sure, it's going to give you exposure too, but actually providing helpful advice is going to help start to form a relationship with someone, and then they're going to want to learn more and more, and of course they do that by clicking on your signature. So again, just to provide them with a good response, but don't give away the farm, just a piece of it. One additional thing to point out, for example, you wouldn't want to say something like, there are three ways to get a dog to stop barking. Here's the first one. You need to buy my book to get the other two. That's a bit too forward. People won't like that. So you don't want to come out and say it quite like that. What you want to do is to say, here's something I found to be really helpful with barking, and to give that information. However, you want to keep in mind that you've just given them, maybe a paragraph, a couple of paragraphs of information, but you have this entire book that you have, that you promote, that gives pretty much everything you need to know about dog training. So that's going to be in your signature, and people are going to understand that. And the idea is that you give this nugget of information, and then they're going to want more. You're whetting their appetite, and you're establishing yourself as an expert, and it's going to lead them to want to learn more about what you have to say, because you've already helped them with one of the things. Tracking your results. This is really important, because what you're going to find is, say you join a couple forums, even though one might be more active, you might find that another forum actually brings you more sales. So it's really important that you understand what's going on. So how do you do this? Well, depending on your skill level and what you've done already, there's lots of different ways you can track things. One of the most basic things that you can do is just to look at the statistics for your website. Hopefully, I would not suggest when you're promoting in a forum that you are just promoting with an affiliate link. I would strongly suggest that you go out and get your own domain for a few reasons. It's going to make you look more professional, but also it makes it easier for you to track the results of what you're doing. So you set up your own domain, and then your domain could just be a type of sales page, a pre-sale for the product that you're promoting, and then you track how many people come to your page from all these forums that you're posting in. Okay, so here you can see this is just an example, but then you can see, I apologize, some of this is blanked out, but you can see that here's a thread, here's a thread, here's a thread. These are all different places on the same forum that people are coming to my page from. So this allows me to see, okay, so this thread's working well, this thread's working well, this one, I didn't get any traffic from this one. So this is pretty much the most basic way to be looking at stats, just looking at your website stats. This is a program called cPanel, which is, I'm sorry, it's cPanel. Within cPanel, it's called AW Stats, and it comes with most, if you have reseller hosting, basic hosting, chances are you have some type of statistics. If you don't, you should ask your provider for it, because they're typically included for free, and it just kind of shows you what's going on. If not, there are also some tracking softwares out there that you can get for free, that you can set up some pretty simple traffic things. In the book, there's a suggestion of a place that you can check out to learn more about that. But so again, the point that I want to make is that you want to be tracking what you're doing, because you're going to be bringing traffic in from a whole group of different places, especially if you branch out onto other forums. And it's important that you understand where your traffic's coming from, so you can, kind of step in and and make the most of where the good stuff is, and if you find something isn't worth your while, that you cut your losses and focus your time elsewhere, because your time is so valuable. So just keep that in mind, and don't just go about doing this blindly. You want to make sure that you keep an eye on what you're doing. Rotating your signature. This kind of builds on what I talked about in the last video in terms of tracking what you're doing. Another thing you want to do is change what your signature says. Not only do you want to, experiment with different products, but you even want to change the wording that's in your signature. As any experienced pay-per-click person will tell you, sometimes even just one word can make a huge difference in the amount of people that decide to check out your product or service. So the only way that you can find out what works the best is by testing, and testing some more. So what I do is I go out, in a form, I decide what I'm going to promote, and then I create a signature, and then I might create a notepad file and just paste the signature in there so I have it, and then I create another signature and another one, and I just kind of rotate them. Every couple days change it. Also, keep in mind that in a forum, you're going to be marketing to the same people a lot of times, again and again. So it gives you a chance to be showing them something different whenever they're looking through your comments. So let's say, for example, that you're going back to the dog training example. You have a book that focuses on helping a dog to not bark in the middle of the night, and how to become house trained, and also additional things. So on day one you could talk in your signature about the barking issue. And 3 days later you could talk about the house training, and just and so forth. And what'll happen then is people will see, one day they'll see, oh wow, that's one thing about that book, and the next time they see it, there's another range of the book. It allows you to cover, and one person might see your signature one day and it might not appeal to them, but then 3 days later that might. So changing it up introduces the people around you to more things about what you're doing as well. So again, just going back to having a file where you keep track of them, and then also, of course, connecting this with your statistics and looking and saying, oh, you know what, this got a higher click-through rate when I had this signature compared to this one, so that tells me something. Or this product is doing better, that tells me something. So again, your signature, it's valuable ad space. Look at it that way, and you want to handle it accordingly and change it. And of course, keep an eye on what you're doing and how it affects your sales and your click-throughs. Continuing a discussion. Okay, so one thing, of course, is to go into forums and find threads that are good to be talking in. But another important thing is to keep things going. For example, say somebody asks a question, how do I get my dog to stop barking? Well, what you could do is go in there and share something that helped for you, but then also, leave it open by asking another question, like saying, come on, I'd love to hear what everybody else has to say about this, or what do you think about my method? Has anyone ever tried this before? Because what it's going to do is it's going to keep things rolling. Because again, keep in mind, once you respond to the thread, and if nobody else does, it's eventually going to go down the list, and then less people are going to see it. But if somebody else chimes in, then that gives you an opportunity to chime back in, and then it goes back and forth. And every time you do that, you get more exposure for your thread. And then what will happen is, you have 3 posts in this thread. That's 3 times that people are going to see your products mentioned. So you start to see the value here. So it's a good idea when you respond to a thread. One thing that a lot of forums allow you to do is to have an opt-in that you'll be notified whenever someone responds to the thread that you made. Not all the forums offer it, but when they do, it's a nice thing to have, because it allows you to keep in tune with the discussions you're engaging in. So you can see here, I really haven't done anything with this account, but when you subscribe to threads, you can often go into your control panel and see all the places that you've participated in, which is really nice, because then if there has been a new message left, it'll be highlighted and you can know that. So it allows you to, say you have 10 different discussions going at the same time, to just kind of log in the next day and be updated on what's going on, and then continue to stir the pot. The important thing is to get things going back and forth. Also, because I think that you'll find that when say for example that you start a thread and you ask some type of question, if you don't come back and have more feedback in the post, if people answer your question then and you don't come back, people are going to be disappointed that you're starting something and not seeing it through. They like to see the back and forth. That's going to add to your credibility as a participant, and also of course help you become more of an expert in everyone's eyes. So continuing discussion is great. You don't just want to start, you want to keep it going, and it's certainly going to help in the long run to get more eyes on your sales page, whatever you're promoting, which of course is the whole point of all this. I would like to talk a little bit about forming relationships on the forum, because it's important. Sometimes we can get so focused in wanting to come in and make 10 posts today and then move on with your other work, that sometimes we lose focus on the point that these are actually real live human beings that we're talking back and forth with. And I don't know about you, but if you do a lot of internet marketing, sometimes it can be easy to get lost in working on your own, and it's nice to be interacting with other people, and it's one of the things that drew me to forum marketing, because it's a bit more interactive than running pay-per-click ads, because you're actually talking with with people, real live people across the world. So it's a pretty neat thing. And what I want to encourage you to do is to reach out there. As you become more invested in the forum, you will get to see that there are certain people that just kind of seem to be where you are, and you might find things in common with them. And I want to encourage you to reach out to them. And one thing that you can do is, let me just show you here. You see somebody in your thread, maybe they ask you a question, and sometimes you can answer their question, on here, but also send them a message too, just to kind of follow up with them. And to send someone a message, all you need to do in many forums is just click on their name here, and you can see here, send a private message. And what'll happen is, and this is kind of like sending an email, but it's sent through the forum. So these people, they really should get it, and I would think respond too, especially if they're active on the forum. And what this does is it allows you to really get in touch with people. And there's all kinds of reasons to do this. Say for example you're looking for feedback on your product, or you want someone to do a testimonial for your product, or you just want to help to close the sale with somebody, to provide them more information about what you have to offer. Because you'd be surprised. I know that people that are busy, it might not sound appealing to start messaging people back and forth like this just to make a $10 sale, but getting out there and pounding the pavement of sorts, getting started is something that if you don't have many sales under your belt, it's a way to kind of help further things along. I think the important thing is to forming relationships, and then you can ask people, hey, listen, where else do you go on the internet? Other forums like this. I enjoy this place, but I'm looking for others as well. So it can open it up. Options to be able to talk to people more about things. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about a very specific reason to form relationships with others, and that is so you can do joint ventures. And I'll talk about that in the next video. Exploring joint ventures on the forum. This is a very powerful thing to explore. It's not available, not something that you might run into on every forum, but when it does, it's something that you should certainly be interested in. Let's say, for example, that you go to a dog forum, of course, to promote your dog training product, and you see someone else on there that's promoting their product, and their product is dog recipes. The point is, it's not a product that's in direct competition with yours. It's something that complements yours. So what you can do is, of course, get on there and do your posting and show that you're an invested member of the community, and hopefully they are too. And then you can approach them and say, hey, listen, I see that you're selling such and such. Would you consider working with me? I'll promote your product to my list, and you can promote mine to your list, and it's a swap like that, basically helping each other out, or even just talking to them, saying, hey, what other types of marketing have you tried? Is this forum marketing working well for you? Are there other forums you can suggest that I try? We're not in competition with each other, and we're positioned to help each other. And let's do just that. Now I can tell you that if you come into a forum and you approach someone right off the bat, they're going to be less hesitant to respond, because they'll see post count 0 or 3. Haven't really been active. But once you prove yourself that you know what you're doing and you're established in the forum, I think you'd be surprised how open other people will be to talking with you, and they're doing exactly or close to what you're doing. So it's a pretty cool relationship to form, because it is something that can be very mutually beneficial, with you both targeting the same crowd and being able to help each other out. So and there's also forums that you go to where there are specific sections where people are allowed to sell things, and that's certainly something, a place too, that you can find. You can zero target in on other people that are trying to sell things to the forum as well, and try to learn more about those people, and hopefully form relationships with them, so you can see how they can help you further your business along. Here, this place has site sponsors. So these are the kinds of people, and look at this. These people are sponsoring. We're actually going to talk about this in the next video, but this here sponsor 600 views. That's a lot of people, and keep in mind these aren't just ordinary people. These are dog lovers, so they're very, very targeted. In the next video, we're going to talk more specifically about using advertising in forums and how that can help you out. Paying for advertising on a forum. This is also, it may or may not be a situation that you'll find depending on the forums that you're at. But I wanted to show you, because in this particular situation, it's certainly something that's possible. Looking at this form, you can see here that there are a lot of advertising available, advertising opportunities available to you. Here is a banner. Here, this blog actually has AdSense, which you can go through Google to advertise on there. And then also, there's even stuff over here in addition to a part of the forum that's dedicated towards sponsors as well. So there's lots of opportunities. So why would you want to do this when you can just be marketing on the forum for free? Well, I like to call it the old 1-2 punch, because it allows you to not only, here you are, of course you can imagine, somebody comes in and they advertise and they're not a member of the forum. And sure, people are going to see them, and hopefully these people will get some sales. But you can imagine the credibility that's added to these ads when the ad is being ran by someone that is active in the forum, because people will already know the person, and then when they see the ad over here on the side, they'll put 2 and 2 together, and that's going to help drastically increase your chances for success. And you could even have something in your ad that has your username on the forum, so they know that you're a loving and caring member of the community. So you connect things like that, and all of a sudden you might not even feel as bad about promoting yourself because you're paying for it. So what happens is, say you come in here, guns blazing, you establish yourself, you have lots of posts, and then you run an ad, and the two are connected together, and you'd be surprised. It's kind of like warm selling. You're not cold selling. You're not the first time people are seeing this type of thing. They've already heard your spiel and gotten to know you in the forum, and they see you as a friend. And we all know that we would much rather buy from a friend than someone we never heard of before. So another thing is that oftentimes advertising in a forum is pretty cheap, a lot cheaper than you would think, especially when you compare it to pay-per-click and advertising in a newspaper. And then even compare it to newspaper is crazy, because a newspaper is read by just about everybody. But this is only people that are going to be seeing these ads are people that probably have dogs, or at least a strong interest. So talk about laser targeting. So the being able to advertise in these types of places is powerful stuff, and certainly worth trying. It doesn't hurt to find out how much it costs, and then you can decide what type of sales you need to get to make it worthwhile for you. Branching out to additional forums. So once you've got the hang of it at one place, I certainly want to encourage you to get out there and start trying other places as well. I know I mentioned earlier also that you might not want to put all your eggs in one basket and initially register for a few different forums, and just type of try to feel it out and then see where you really hit it off, and then dig more into there. I know when I started out doing this, I started out with a lot of forums, and then it shrunk down to about 3, and that's where I'm more active, and that's diversity has helped me. But it wasn't worth it. Some of the forums didn't turn out to be as active as I thought, and then branching out into other ones, and then there were even some that had less people, but I found that the people in that forum were more eager and more willing to to buy. So of course that was more worth my time. So especially once you got this system down, I know that it is time consuming, but when you consider that you're getting your foot out the door and you're getting something out there, it's a good deal. Especially another thing that I found is the more involved I became in a popular forum, the better that my products were ranking in the search engines, because all of these links from the forum postings, it's valuable link juice for those of you familiar with SEO. it helps, especially if the forum that you're working with is a credible one that has good ranking in the search engines. And what also happens is, people are finding your posts not just from coming to the forum, but also individual threads show up in search results as well. So, it makes sense to branch out. You spend some time getting yourself out there on one forum, and then you can spend some time on another forum and reach an entire differently group of people. So there's a lot of different reasons for branching out. Of course, you don't want to spread yourself too thin, and you want to make sure that you have time to be interacting with the community, but on the other hand, opening up to other communities is valuable as well. 5 keys to forum success. So I've thrown a lot at you over the course of these videos, and I just wanted to kind of bring it back and end things out by talking about what I consider the 5 most important things to retain from this knowledge today, and what you want to be applying as you move forward with marketing on forums. Okay, the first of which being is that it is so important that you take the time to be invested in the forum. If you just come on there just to promote your product, you leave a few, you make a few posts, here's my stuff, here's my stuff, here's my stuff, and then you leave, you'll be lucky if you don't get kicked out of the forum. You want to make sure that you take the time to be invested in the forum, because I got to tell you that there's an incredible difference between someone that just posts a few times and then someone that gets in there and really digs their feet in and makes an effort to help others in the forum. People are going to see that, and people wise up to those things, and then these are the types of people that others will grow to respect. And this is really important if you're looking to establish yourself out there in whatever market you're targeting. You want to establish yourself as an expert. You don't just want to be giving fluff posts, posts just to bump your post count up. That is really frowned upon in forums. You want to make sure that you're taking the time to post, thoughtful responses that are helpful for people, because that's what this is all about, helping people. And then, in turn, people will respect you and then be more likely to buy your product. Don't push too hard. Of course, this signature in many forums, it's okay. It's totally okay to be selling something, but you don't want to overdo it, especially because, we're drawn in the internet marketing world to be all about creating a big splash, getting people's attention. If you go to Google and look at pay-per-click ads, a lot of times it's, did you know such and such is a scam? Click here to lose weight now. In forum marketing, you don't want to be so in your face, so up front. You want to be more subtle, because subtlety does work. Even though your other way might even get more clicks, the people are going to be more hesitant and look at your product and think, you want people to come to your product because they respect you as a person, because they have found you to be helpful on the forum. And then when these people come through, they might even have their credit card already sitting in their hand, and they're just, here, this is it, I want to get this guy's stuff because I've liked what he's had to say. Take time to form relationships. This is important stuff. Don't just be raising questions and not answering them. Have ongoing conversations with the forum members. Ask questions, answer questions, keep things going. Send people messages. Build relationships, because you never know where one thing is going to lead to the next. Let's say the dog training thing, for example. Let's say that you form a relationship with someone that owns a dog store, a pet store. And they might say to you, hey, what do you think about me selling your product in my store? And that never would have happened if you would have taken the time to show on the forum that you know what you're talking about, and to reach out to the person to form that relationship. Study what works and expand. Don't just be doing this blindly, because I'll tell you what, you're going to spend a lot of time doing this, and some of it's going to work great, some of it's going to work okay, and some of it isn't going to work well. I hate to say that, because I like to say, since you viewed this video series, you're going to be a success no matter what. Everything you do, it doesn't work like that. You do stuff, and then some stuff is going to work great and some isn't. That's the way of the world. That's certainly the way of the internet marketing world. The secret is to know what you're doing, and then to see what works, so you can then apply and expand upon what you have that is working for you, and of course cut your losses as well. Okay, so that's about it. I hope that you've enjoyed this course and now have a better understanding of forum marketing. It is something that takes time, but I got to tell you, it has incredible benefits, especially for people just starting out or looking to establish your brand or business in a market. It's a great way to get out there, and you'll begin to reap the rewards as soon as you get out there and start pushing your way forward. I wish you well, and I'll see you at the top.